And let me address this question to you, Congressman Lance. I mean, I've talked to you several times. You've obviously been against the SALT deduction repeal. The problem here is, how do you get the revenue that this would bring about? $100 billion just for this year, according to the tax committee.
We have put forth a proposal, Josh and I together, to say that SALT should continue in its current form in the code, but also we pay for it. We have provided pay-fors in our proposal regarding the federal estate tax and other areas, and so we are aware of the question, and I think we have resolved the question.
But, Congressman, you know, look, I think when you take a look at the state and local tax deduction and the districts that it impacts, it is quite fascinating, because there would be a lot of districts on the coast in particular who would be negatively impacted by eliminating this. Dive into my terminal, #BTV 6591, and you can see how New Jersey would actually be impacted in this, should there be an elimination of this in particular. Of course, districts that you two are from. But, you know, but Congressman Gottheimer, I mean, can you really get this done? I mean, is the math on your side with these votes or not? Because it looks like all the momentum is behind Republican leadership to get this done by the end of the year.
You know, incredible things happen on these conference committees. And I think what we've heard from our proposal in the last days, from colleagues across the aisle, that there is a desire to address this. You can't have it that people's taxes are going to go way up in a bunch of states and their property values are going to go down. It's going to have a recessionary impact on the economy. And I think people are waking up to the fact that we've proposed something where you can solve this without actually raising the corporate tax rate at all, with actually dealing with deficit reduction. So we have a proposal. You can look at it. You can look at the math. And the bottom line is there's no reason why we should be paying for this bill, and should all happen on our backs in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, a lot of the very important states to the economy.
Congressman Gottheimer, though, you only got 13 no votes on the House bill when it comes to Republicans. Will you be able to actually get more lawmakers on board with your proposition?
Well, our whole goal is to keep fighting till the end here, right? And the more ideas you put out there, so you can sit back and just complain, or you can get in there with an idea. What we did is put forth an idea.
Have you heard that there would be more no votes here?
We've heard from a lot of our colleagues who are very interested in what we proposed. Who knows when we actually get there, but I know people are getting nervous because they're hearing from their constituents back home, and suddenly they're saying, wait a second, you're raising my taxes, you're going to hurt my property value, I can't make those deductions. People are actually realizing that this thing could happen, and the more they hear from their constituents, the better the opportunity we have to get them on board with our idea.
This is interesting because just last week, Congressman, the leaders in your party stood up the president. They didn't even go to the White House to put forward an alternative or to try to negotiate with President Trump on tax reform. Do you agree with that? Was that the right decision for Leader Pelosi and Minority Leader Schumer for them to stand up President Trump and not even go to the drawing board to negotiate?
Well, I don't know if I'd quite go with your characterization of it, but I'll tell you this. They didn't, you know, I wasn't consulted on this, but and it's up to them to make their decision, I'll tell you what I would have done. I would have gone and I would have brought this plan. And I would have brought this plan and said, you know, you got to solve, I think on all these things, you got to sit at the table, work across the aisle and solve problems. So far, this has been a purely partisan bill, you know, done on one side. Now we're trying to actually bring both sides of the table and say, hey, listen, here's an idea here. And I'll tell you, being from New Jersey, as you know, we already pay some of the highest taxes, which I think are way too high. That's why we need a tax cut. But we get back in New Jersey 67 cents on the dollar that we send to the federal government now. You have Mississippi gets back $4.38. So you've got these moocher states out there that now want more of a break as we pay their tax bill.
Congressman Lance, Chairman Kevin Brady signaling allowing state income tax deductions. If that's the only thing that you can get, would you still be able to vote yes, even if it's not a full repeal?
I want SALT to stay as is, fully deductible, both state income taxes and local property taxes. My leadership knows my position on this issue. My title, as is Josh's title, we're representatives. We represent our districts, we represent our states, and it will be in the best interest of New Jersey if we continue to have the ability to deduct in its entirety state income taxes and local property taxes, not one or the other. We need both.
Correct.
Congressman Lance, just quickly, do you think all of this back and forth with the CR is going to in any way impact lawmakers' ability to get tax reform done by the end of this calendar year?
I do not. I know that our leadership is working very hard on the CR issue. I've been involved in a conference committee on that, and I predict that we will have a CR, that government will not shut down. I do not favor the shutting down of government, and as is true with Josh, I encourage leadership on both sides of the aisle to negotiate with the White House because it's too important to shut down the government.